YouTube, what's up, man? It's your boy Richardson from Minimum Wage to Millionaire. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here, welcome back. I promise you guys, it's going to be a quick video. I always say it, and it ends up being long. It's going to be a quick video. I just wanted to do a video to remind us on this Sunday that always have your ears open to hear. Jesus' famous words is, if they have ears, let them hear. And one of my favorite verses is Hosea 4:6, where it says, "My people perish for a lack of knowledge." It's very, very important. Not only just spiritual, which I've taken those from the Bible. Of course, I'm a Christian, so I use the Bible as my worldview, and how I like to look at life. But this applies to anything. It applies to your emotional, your relationships. It applies to your finances, right? We're a predominantly financial channel. Never allow yourself to get to the point where you're saying, you know what? I have all the answers. I don't need to listen to anybody anymore on anything. Never allow yourself to get to this point. Ignorance is not bliss. In fact, ignorance, there is a price that you will pay for ignorance. Whether it's now or in the future. I've came to this from the last, I want to say, week or so. I've been speaking to one of my subscribers through Instagram. He's a younger gentleman. He's a brother in Christ, right? Which is cool. I think he's about 20. So, and we've been talking about a lot of things. And I'm like, man, as I'm talking to him, I'm like, we were talking about plethora of things. He's been asking me questions. I ask him questions, right? We kind of just pick our brains on a lot of topics. But throughout all of it, I kind of thought to myself, like, man, for someone to be so young and have so much, I guess, knowledge and just, he seems very wise for his age. It's very, very imperative, very important to not only to understand that, but to also just always be mindful that you could always learn from anyone at any point in any age, right? And for example, we'll use my faith as a Christian, right? I've been on my walk with Jesus for the last 3.5 years. I've read the Bible, 2 or 3 full times, I believe. And now I'm just rereading through like the chapter Genesis and all that. But there's aspects that I either forget from the Bible, or aspects that as I'm reading, I didn't really pay special attention to, that when I'm watching sermons or when I'm watching videos from brothers and sisters of Christ, and they will talk about certain accounts from the Bible, from certain chapters, and I'm like, man, I just read that chapter, but I didn't know that, right? Now, if I had the mindset of, oh, well, I've read it, so I know everything, I would never be able to peer into their perspective of how they read the Bible and what they get out of it. And in some cases, them showing me their perspective allows me to be able to interpret the Bible and really go into finer details that I may have missed if I just kept it to myself and read it to myself. And again, this also applies to finances as well. In my most recent video, well, not my most recent, but one of my recent videos, 27-year-old with no career, a lot of you guys gave a lot of insight into what I should do given my age and given my circumstances. There was one comment that said, hey, why don't you go to become a barber, right? You make money off your tips. I never thought about cosmetology. Now, I'm bald, so, so it's very interesting. I never really wrote that in my mind, but I'm like, yeah, you will make a lot of tips and stuff going through barber school. There was another commenter that mentioned, hey, why don't you, I guess, start in trades or work at a job like on Amazon or something. Sometimes they have like programs where, you work there and because I'm debt free, I obviously have no intention on taking on student loan debt, right? I don't have a problem with going to college, and I might make a future video on how I feel about college and all that. But she was basically saying, go through like any job or any program, whatever, and go into accounting, because I mentioned that in that video that I have intentions, or I had intentions, and I still do, of maybe getting to accounting and bookkeeping and stuff like that, and how accounting is a very important career, even amongst the changes of AI because people will always need tax advice. And I'm like, that makes sense. We always have to pay taxes. So to a certain degree, you're going to need accountants, right? Maybe the entry level, repetitive type of jobs will get replaced by AI. But like if you're a master accountant or a CPA, a certified public accountant, and you have, all this multiple years and certifications and stuff, you are very valuable, right? Because there's times where you don't want to talk to an AI. You want to talk to another human being about taxes. And I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But you see, if I was closed-minded, if I had the thought process of, oh, well, I know what I want to do, so forget what everyone else have to say, then I would not be able to learn or hear from all those other people's perspectives. And I would probably be one of those YouTubers that turn the comments off, which, you can, it's your channel. I just don't understand why you would, because I think the engagement, not only from an algorithm standpoint, but just the engagement of people interacting with you is what makes producing content and any subsequent content even better, because now you have other people's perspective to go off on. So that's it. Again, just quick message, quick video. Always be in a position to listen. Even if you feel like you have everything figured out and that you feel like, hey, I have all the answers, don't ever say that, right? Because I'm not all knowing. Only God is all knowing. So there's always room to improve, and there's always voices that you should consider hearing before you make decisions. And sometimes people may have already gone through what you're currently going through, and by you listening to them, they could tell you steps on how to mediate it. So now, instead of having to go through the roughs of life and having to figure it out on your own, you got almost like a cheat sheet or a guide to get you there even faster with, less time and stuff. So that's it. Thank you guys. You guys have a good Sunday. May the Lord be with you all. It's Richardson from Minimum Wage to a Millionaire, signing out.